The real estate world is changing. Opportunity is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the very best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs, overcoming our fears, transforming ourselves so we can transform our business. This is Investor Creator.
Hey, what's up guys? Brad here with Investor Creator, and I just wanted to kind of give you an update on what we're doing and how the year's gone, and just kind of speak from the heart for a few minutes. So I'm currently in Maui, Hawaii, and I'm driving on the coast here. It's like this amazing place, and I'm in this convertible. Of course, the top is up because I wanted to not destroy this audio with the wind, but I've got mountains to my left and the ocean on the right, and there's like this volcano in the distance. And it's just an amazing, amazing view. And I'm kind of having an interesting moment. So I'm here for my 10th year wedding anniversary. So I figured my wife has been married to me for 10 years. So she should at least be rewarded with something for putting up with me for 10 years. So I decided to come to Maui, Hawaii. And we came here for our 5th wedding anniversary. So it's been 5 years since I've been here. And when I came here for my 5th wedding anniversary, I really had, I guess, some of the best times of my life. I had really bad jet lag, so I was staying at a Marriott right there in the ocean, and I would get up about 2 a.m., and there was a Starbucks that was there that was a 24-hour Starbucks. So from the patio on the Starbucks to the ocean was maybe 30 yards, and it was just an amazing time. I would get up at 2 a.m., I would go downstairs, have my coffee, and where I was with my business at that point 5 years ago was we were just getting ready to scale. So I had built up some note income, and I was having notes begin to cash out. And so I was to the point where I had cash to operate, but I hadn't really scaled the business yet. So I had a successful business, but not a scaled business. And I was really thinking about, okay, how do we go to multiple markets? How do we blow this thing up? And coming back here, I realize at this point that I have accomplished, I guess, everything that I'd hoped to accomplish 5 years ago. And I've been kind of having this moment on and off, at least this thought process on and off for the past 6 months. And I liken it to this. So I'm a really big fan of Jordan Peterson. So for those of you who don't know, Jordan Peterson is a clinical psychologist. He's from Canada. He's gotten kind of intertwined with some political viewpoints and that kind of thing. I don't look at him as a political person, but I think he's a very wise person. And he's a psychologist. So he's always talking about how the mind works and how intention works and success. And you can go to YouTube, and he has basically lectures on everything that you can imagine. So it's really, really interesting. I think he's a fascinating person. And if you haven't read his book, 12 Rules for Life, then I highly recommend that. I think it's sold somewhere around 2 million copies in the U.S. at this point. But I was watching one of his videos, and he was talking about how when he was a professor at, I think it was University of Toronto, I believe, that he would mentor PhD students. And he talked about how almost all of them had this same kind of arc that happened is, they had worked for their PhD for effectively 7 years, 4 years of undergrad, and then some of them went to a master's program, which was another year, and then 2 or 3 years of a PhD program. So, these people were in this for, 6, 7, 8 years, by the time they got their PhD. And he said that almost the same thing happened to everyone, is they would get their PhD, they would have this mountaintop type of experience where they felt like they had accomplished something that was really big, but then they kind of slipped into almost a depression because they didn't know what was next. It was like, well, what now? And I've kind of felt that in my life as well, because just like coming back here and looking back on what we've accomplished the past 5 years, it's something that I don't recognize day to day, but whenever I take it from one point in time to another, then I can see the growth, right? I hope that makes sense. But for the past 6 months or so, I've really just, been thinking about, well, what's next for me? Because it's like, well, do I just continue doing the business the way that I have? Do I want to grow it? I mean, I don't need to from a financial perspective. I mean, we can just keep really doing what we're doing the rest of our life and be more than fine. I mean, I can provide for everything that I want to provide for my family and, extended family and, a cause or whatever. And I don't know how to put it. I guess I lost some passion for the business because I really didn't have a why anymore. It's like for years I really had to prove my value through the business, because I felt like if I didn't accomplish it, that it said something about me. And I guess it does to a certain extent. I don't feel the need to prove anything to anyone anymore. And it's kind of funny because if you're a friend of mine on Facebook, you know I really don't post that often. And I say friends, they're not like super great friends of mine, but I have people that are friends of mine on Facebook, and I mean, they post 15 times a day about something, about real estate, and they're talking about the same deal 10 different times and all this. It's like, gosh, if I did that, I would literally have 0 friends on Facebook because nobody would want to be friends with me. But I get it. It's like, okay, they feel like they need to prove value, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think you have to recognize what it is. So I don't really feel like I have to prove value. And really, it's been, I guess, 2.5 or so months since I've recorded, and I just really haven't had anything to say. And I never wanted this podcast to be a job. It's like, I'm not trying to really monetize the podcast. Really what I want for this podcast is to bring the real life thoughts and deals and structure of a real business to you guys, because I think it's something that is so very rare. I think it's very rare that people come to you with realness, and that's why I really started off the podcast with, we're here to tell you the truth about what it takes to become a high-level 7-figure real estate investor, and not everything's perfect. We've had some problems in the past year. I was going to do a podcast on how we lost $38,000 on a deal because a lien popped up, and I still may do that. But anyway, all that to say, that's why you guys haven't heard from me. I just haven't really felt inspired. I don't want this to become a job. Like, I want to come to you guys with, the nuts and bolts and raw material about what this business really is. And if you guys can ever come to Maui, man, I definitely recommend doing that, because this is just an amazing place. So all that to say, I'm really looking at, I don't know if creating a fund for a cause or what, but I'm looking for that anchor as to like why I'm doing what I'm doing. So it's got to be bigger than me, obviously, because I don't need anything else, right? So anyway, I hope that makes sense, guys. I mean, really think about, with the new year, why you're doing what you're doing and what is the focus. And if you're starting to outgrow your why, then realize that's a very dangerous position, because if you outgrow the why, you're not going to have a why. And then it's going to, I would really have rather had the vision change earlier, instead of having like probably 3 or 4 months of basically non-activity in the business, which I'm blessed to say I can do that, and it's not a huge deal. I mean, we've bought 2 houses while I've been in Maui. This is my 10th day here. We bought 2 houses, which is not that many, but it's kind of a slower time of year, so I think it's December, right before the holidays. But we bought 2 for $100,000 in profit, and one of which from the time that we got the lead in, we've already closed the house. That was 4 days. So it's under rehab now. And then the other one's a note deal for 60. And so it's in process, but it'll be a great deal. But all that to say, I would have been better off having my why change earlier, as opposed to having this period of non-activity. But coming back to Maui, I think, has re-energized me. I'm feeling really good about the new year, and I might do a podcast on the new year goals. And one thing that I have decided, I haven't really hammered down what the goals are, but I know that I'm going to just look at it quarterly. So I'm not going to do an annual goal. I'm going to do 4 quarterly goals, because I think a year is just too long to look at. But that's something you can decide for you. That's what I've decided for me. But I hope that that makes sense, guys. Focus on the why for the next year. Make sure you're not outgrowing it, because it will put you in a position where you kind of have a sidestep in the business, and you really don't grow for a little while, because it's like, well, why am I even doing this? But anyway, all right, guys, appreciate your time, and I will talk to you soon. Happy investing.